Are we still on? By the way, let's give a hand of applause to everyone who is still standing on the last mile. Can we give a round of applause to everyone? Thank you so much for staying in this grueling 2 days conference. And before I start as well, can we also give a round of applause to the organizers of the IMA Doha conference led by our president, Mr. Mohamed Omar. I hope you have a positive feedback, and of course, we accept negative feedbacks as well for our improvements next time. So, today's session is about data analysis. So my question is, what have we learned so far in this conference? Have we learned a lot? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, that's great to know. So we might have heard Darwinism, data analysis, data science, all of these jargons in the digitalization world. So for me, if I attended this conference, even if I at least learn one concept, I think that the rule for me is that would be enough. Something that you could bring to your respective organizations and apply the concepts that you have learned here in this conference. So when we talked about digitization in the modern world, in the workplace of the future, what is the starting point? The starting point is in this, I considered it the most powerful programming applications that is currently being used in the world right now, which is Excel. This is where you start to increase that knowledge and skills that we need to move forward in this digitalization. So what we will discuss is data analysis and visualizations in Excel. So today's agenda is how to create data analysis in Excel, and then we'll touch on upon creating data analysis, we will do visualizations in Excel, creating dashboards out of the analysis that we have. And then where do we go from here? What do we need to learn further to move forward in digitization? And of course, the happiest part, I would say, Q&A, and let's all go home. So basic data analysis. My question would be, who is using Excel in their line of work right now? That's great. Okay, so if you are in finance and you don't Excel, you don't use Excel, I don't think you are really in finance, right? So question is, who is using Excel 30% of the time in their work on a daily basis? More than 60%? Okay, great. 100%? Oh, that's dangerous. We should be using ERP, right? But if you're a small business, then that should be good, because Excel can even perform financial statements and transactions directly itself from the Excel. So now this is how we discuss this workshop. Actually, it's a show and tell. I know I can't do justice for 1 hour discussing all of this. So the slides will be given, but it's a matter of showing you and demonstrating in front of you how to do this in Excel. I hope in a slow and understandable manner, because it really gets fast when you're familiar with Excel. So the first thing that we will do is creating charts. So let's take a hypothetical scenario wherein you are you're a finance business partner of an established bicycle company, and the company sells bicycles, accessories such as clothing to bikers in 6 other countries around the world. So the company has just hired Lucy as its new sales manager. So you are tasked to introduce Lucy to the company, its product portfolio and its sales performance. So now it's your job to present to Lucy the data about your company in a compelling manner. So let's dive through in. I know most of you are using Excel and must be very familiar with this, but let's take it step by step. So, and it's a review for everyone as well who is very familiar with this, with Excel. So let's open this. Oh. So let's open this. So now the first job that we need to do is to create a line chart for the yearly category revenue. So that should be pretty simple for everyone who is very familiar. So now we will say, let's create a line chart on this data. So what shall we do? So we highlight the table, the cells. So this is the cells, just to familiarize. This is the column, and this is what we call the rows. So we drag the highlight, and this becomes the table of the data that we are choosing. So how do we create a line chart for this data? Anyone? So we click, insert, and then we choose here. So we can choose recommended charts. We can choose here, this one. These are line charts. So we can choose different styles of line chart. So let's make it basic. So now we have the line chart for this one. So this is our line chart, and it shows so it can be seen here. Okay, it shows the color coded. We have accessories in blue, which is the yearly revenues. The yearly revenues of these product categories. And we have bikes in gold, and then on gray for clothing. So how do we make it look good? So we have here in the design. So in the design, we can add title. So here, chart title, above chart. Or we can go directly here to this one and edit it. So yearly revenue by product categories. So apologies for the wrong spelling and all. Okay, so now we can edit as well here in the design again. Art elements. So what is axis? Where is the axis here? Is it the horizontal, the x-axis, the horizontal, or the vertical one? So the vertical one is what we call the y-axis. So always remember this. So the horizontal one is the x-axis. So here, horizontal, we can name this as year, for example, and then in the design, we can put this in the vertical as sales revenue. Sales. So now we have a chart. And we can see, what can we see from here? So this is the basic visualization actually that we can do in Excel. With this chart, we can see, we can conclude something. We can conclude that bike has higher sales, but eventually died down. We can also conclude that accessories and clothing didn't have sales prior to 2011 and 12. So this is how powerful visualization is by putting it in chart. So now we go to the second one. So we can delete this. Now we go to, undo. So also, what we can do here, we can create a subtotal for the revenue for each year. So when we create a subtotal, and then we have this one here. You can drag it to include this data as well. So now we can see here that the total has been included as well. So here, this is the total. So this is how we tried to make good the line chart. So we're good with this exercise. And then we go to create the pie chart for this data. So how to do pie chart? Same. So anything, you highlight it, and you go here in Insert, and we create charts here. So you can either go here, recommended charts. So Excel provides recommendation. So we can see it recommended pie chart here. Or we can go here in all charts and just select the pie chart. So now we have the pie chart, and there's no data to it. So what we can do is try to explore actually what can we do to make this look good. We'll just right-click it, and then you have this. So you can add data label. Okay, we'll highlight everything, and then add data label. So you have now the revenue figures. And of course, you can do the same as what we did before. You can put chart title and data labels on this one. So now the question is, how to make it as a percentage. So what is the total percentage of each of these revenues actually? So what do? We can do right click here, and then let's see. So you go here. So you try to explore actually when you do this kind of reports. Exploration is something that is part of our work, meaning the more we learn to explore and the more we try to solve what we want, is the more we stick in our heads. So this one, we go here. So I'm exploring now. So I'm not finding it. I'll come back to it later. Yeah, so it's here. So when we right click it, it should be on this one, and then we have this percentage. And we remove the value as well. So we can see here that bikes consist 72% of the total sales. So if we are a marketing manager, we think that we should focus more on the sales of bikes. So we're good with this. Now we will prepare another chart, which is the bar chart. So how do we create bar chart from this third type of data that we have provided to Lucy? So this is the revenue total of all the countries that we have sales. So what we do, we go here, and then we click Insert. We can choose here, or we can choose recommended charts, and then this is the bar chart. So we can see here, and also we can see here, and there are various types of charts that we can do. So, but for me, I believe simplicity is the key to presenting data. So let's use this simple one. So what can we conclude from this one? Which country has the highest revenue? United States, followed by Australia. So this is a good visualization. And now, say for example, we wanted to sort it from highest to lowest. So what can we do? We can either do here, and then click filter, and then we can sort it from largest to highest. So it changes, your graph changes. Or you can sort it from smallest to largest, and our bar chart changes. So we're done with charts. Simple. Any questions? Okay, so far so good. So we move on to the next one. Creating tables. So continuing on the story, so it's not that bad actually what we have shown to Lucy. We have provided her line charts, pie charts, and then the bar charts. But she wants to know more about the details of the operations of the company. So she wants to know more about the year-over-year sales, different categories, subcategories, and countries. She also wants to see additional information on customer demographics. So your IT analyst provided you with the different data source. So actually in a company, those data, sales data, revenue data, would be coming from different sources. So either finance could access it, or our IT could provide this data in Excel, and we would play with it. So this time, the data has more than 100,000 rows. Of course, there are a lot of sales that happen during those periods. So before we create additional reports to Lucy, we need to, what we call, prepare the data. So data is raw, which we downloaded in Excel, or we have imported it. So data is raw. So what we need to do to improve it, this is the process called data preparation. We've heard about data cleansing. So this is all part of making the data look good as we do the analysis. So actually, data preparation is the hardest part of data analysis. You really have to clean the data, like the formatting of dates. I know our ERP, the format of the dates is US based, and then the Excel, our ERP is US based, but then our Excel is like UK based, wherein there is day first, month, and year, and then you have the other formats wherein year, month, day, and year. So you need to transform it. So this is how we transform, and this is the second part of the exercise. So it's loading. It's 100,000 rows. So 1 million rows and over, we need SQL database actually, which would be in handy with our IT people. So we can see here that if we count, there's 113,037 rows. So it's a big data, you can say, and then we have this. We have all this data. Customer age. Normally, actually, these data are coming from everywhere. Like, for example, our sales data would include customer ID, but then the customer data would be coming from the customer database itself. And in this example, it's already combined. So after combining all these data sets from different sources, we have this. So now, we are going to convert it into an Excel table. So earlier in Lab 1, we just highlighted those fields, those cells in that area. But Excel table is more powerful and it is more flexible in terms of creating additional visualizations in terms of our pivot charts and pivot tables later on. So this is crucial. Once we have prepared the data, we should be creating an Excel table. So how do we create an Excel table? So this is the raw data. Anyone, how to create an Excel table? So what we can do is just either drag it from here and down to the last row, Control-Shift, press arrow down and this. So we covered the whole data and then it's all here. Format as table. So we can choose different formats or styles. And your table has headers. This is important as well because if you remove, it will copy as a row. So we should put, because there is headers on this one. So now this is what we call an Excel table. So this is the first step in data preparation. So for example, we wanted to insert something. So insert another column. So we can add that. And the insertion is also part of the Excel table, as long as it's in that range. Say for example, I will add year here. So from the date, you can say year. So we are adding year. So look, when we put a formula equals onto the column A, it shows the header, not the field data. Like it should be read as A2, right? But when you format it into an Excel table, it shows the header, which is year and date. And I press enter. We have to change this. And then remove the separator. So now this becomes a year. We can delete this. So what else do we need to do? We need to do a month function. So how do we create a month? So we can insert here. How do we create a month? Any idea? Any experts? More experts than me? Yes? So we go back to this date formula. What function? We can use the text function. Text function, this one. And then use this, and then close it. So now we have the month data. So we are preparing for further analysis later on when we are creating pivot tables and pivot charts. So we created the month. What else do we need to create to clean this up? We can create age group. So we can use if functions. So here, in the column E, we have customer age. So, but we don't want to show, so many rows. We wanted to group these customers into age groups, like this one. The youth for ages less than 25, young adults, and seniors. So how do we create it? Anyone? So we can add here, age group. So this is for, this workshop and session actually is for awareness of everyone. We can do actually here, but see, when you hear it, you can easily search it on the internet actually, how to do this kind of functions. There's a lot of sites that provides this kind of formulas. So it would be easy, but we're just trying to show you how to derive this kind of data and prepare our tables such that it would be nice later on. So let's take a shortcut. So we will use the if functions. So this is the logical test. If the age in this column is less than 25, then we will call it youth. If age is less than 35, we will call it young adults and all. So this is how we create age brackets. So we can just copy this. So here we go. Yeah, so we have now here various types of categories. So now we are preparing our table into a good data. Next step, frame size. So we can use if and write functions. So we have to combine actually. So where do we do the frame size here? So what it's saying here, that in the product category, we need to find the frame size here. So let's go back here, the one that is already prepared. So we use the if function in the product category. Let's copy this. So you can see that those were blanks. And then I'll just double click this, or you can drag this actually all the way down to the last row. So this is a shortcut as well. So you can either click this small square and double click it. It will follow the formula all the way down, or you can just copy and paste and then paste the formula also all the way down. And here we have frame size for bikes. So this category is only for bikes, the frame size of the bikes. So all good? So what else do we do to prepare this Excel table? So now we can also create profit. So what is the formula of profit? Revenue minus cost. So it shows here only revenue. So actually we are transforming this data. So here it's part of the Excel table. But say for example, if I add here, it's not part of the Excel table. So we should be careful actually in terms of adding it. So I'm just putting the formula here. So what is the formula of profit? Revenue minus cost. So you can see here, it's using the header, not the cell formula. And then it follows all the way down up to here. So now we have already prepared our Excel table. So we're ready to move to the next part. Any questions? All good? Okay. So lab 3. So we have finished this. So in the slides, there will be references where there are good examples coming from Microsoft itself, how to use these formulas as well, and explains everything. So to continue the story, we are now moving into the lab 3. So we have prepared the data into an Excel table. Now we are ready to create pivot charts and pivot tables. So from your conversation with Lucy, she's now interested into looking into the yearly sales data broken down by countries, product categories, and age groups. So with this data, she needs to know all of those. So we move on. I hope you should be able to join with me actually. So probably, these kind of workshops, we will do it next time. If we have next time, on this kind of workshops, we will tell everyone to bring their laptops and really do it in actual. So it sticks more actually than, just watching me doing all of this. So this is the data that we have prepared earlier, the Excel table. And then let's prepare the pivot table. So pivot table is very flexible. It creates a table out of this Excel table that we have, but with more flexibility in terms of adding columns, adding rows, and whatever is relevant to our reports. So what is required here? So first, we need to name this table. So you can rename this table here in the design. So this table, this Excel table, you can rename it here. Sales table, sales table, for example. Okay, or if you have more data, you can also resize this to include further rows and columns. So this is how you format the Excel table. So now we are ready to do the pivot. So in doing the pivot table, it's here in insert. You just need to put the cursor anywhere in that Excel table and just say insert pivot table. So the range of this table is the whole sales table that we just named. And then we can either put it somewhere in this existing worksheet or put it in the new worksheet. So let's put it in the new worksheet. So this is now the pivot table. So these are the pivot fields for all the columns that we need. So what do we do? It says here we will create a pivot table on revenue by product category and subcategory by year. So product category and subcategory in the rows. Product category in the rows or subcategory. You can either drag this as well. Okay. What else do we need? Year in columns and revenue in the values. So we put the year in columns here, and then the revenue in values here. Then we can hide this, hide field list, so we can see clearly. So this is the pivot table for the product category and subcategory. So this is quite flexible as well, because what you can do, we can either hide this to show, or you can expand and collapse here. So expand the entire field. So this is the whole data of the chosen columns that we have chosen. And also we can sort this depending on what you want. Like for example, we can sort by the revenue. So The revenue is on top of the list. So that's the first pivot table that we need to do. Okay, we're on to the next pivot table. We wanted to create a pivot table on revenue by country and states. So we can go here, or we can go here. Let's continue down here. And then create pivot table here. We can find the range that we wanted to do. So this is working on the other way around. And then Control A. So it chooses the sales table, the Excel table that we have done. And then existing worksheets. So now the next pivot table is here. So we wanted what? By country and by state. And then, of course, the revenue. So it's just drag and drop for this one. So country and state in the rows, year in columns, and revenue. So we need to add year in the columns. So you can add as many data in this pivot table. And you can also remove as you wish. And then put it back again. And then you can also collapse or expand. All good? So now we will create a pivot table on revenue by frame size. So that's why earlier when we did the Excel table and preparing additional columns that we need to, that is crucial because we wanted to create a table out of this kind of information. So we need some kind of really data cleansing and mergers of additional data that we need. So now we will create table on revenue by frame size. So we put the revenue and then on the values and then the frame size in the rows. So from here, we can create insert, pivot table. We can create existing worksheet and find the worksheet where we wanted to put the pivot table. We will put it down under here. And then we create. So we put the frame size in the rows. And then revenue in our values. So from here, we can see there are blank ones, meaning they are not bikes. So we can hide this by removing it. So that's it. And then we can even sort it, sort options by, for example, sum of revenue, so such that it will show which frame size is bigger or has the higher revenue. And then you can put it in number. So this is now the frame size. So we're good with this. And then we add table revenue by age group. So where is the age group in our data? So now we created this column, age group, and we wanted to create a pivot table on this. So we create a pivot table, existing. We wanted to find which part of the sheet we wanted to put the pivot table. Let's put it somewhere here. And then we go here. And then what is the instruction? Age group and values, sum of revenue. So age group, this one. And then the revenue per age group. So what can we derive from this table? Which one has the higher revenue? Which age group? So more adults are buying from us based on this data. But as you can see, it's difficult to put. Like, how would you arrange this kind of sorting? Like, we should arrange it by age, right? We should arrange youth first, and then young adults second, and then we have adults, and then we have seniors. But in here, when we sort, it just sort by letters, and it's kind of difficult. So how do we sort this? To make it, so youth first, and then young adults, and then we have adults. We wanted to sort like this. We don't have any way how to sort this actually based on the Excel. Wow, I have 15 minutes. Okay, good. We're more than halfway through. So in here, just to add, we have what we call custom sort. So we create this in the custom sort. We have to find that custom sort. Yes, the slicers work only on pivot tables. So you click, insert a slicer on the pivot tables, and it will connect as long as you report the connections by clicking there. So we have the slicer, and we have various common data analysis functions in Excel actually. We can search over the internet, this is the link, but these are all pretty helpful. So I'll just run through. Concatenate, like two cells, column A, column B. My name is Richard Ali. If you concatenate it, it would put together Richard Ali. Richard on one field, Ali on another field. If we concatenate, it would create a combination of it. Let me just open. So this is how we concatenate. So coming from this formula. And then we have len. Len is calculating the number of characters in that field. So Richard, for example, I len it equals len on that column. It would show how many characters. So it shows 7 here. Count A. Count A determines if the cell is empty over here. So see, if we put a formula, it would come as 0. So this is better than the null function. Then we have network days. So if we put a formula, days like this here, it would count the number of days in a year. So for example, this one. So I put January 1 to December 31. There is 364 days in that calendar. And then we have network days. That's the number of working days in a year. And if we put holidays here, this one, it would deduct as well. So if I remove this, for example, it would count as 261. But if we put the holidays, it would also reduce by the same. Sum ifs. So sum ifs. So sum ifs is calculating the various categories. So for example, if I sum if all the male in this data, Okay, so we have various formulas. We have average ifs. I'll just go through. We have VLOOKUP, important ones. Find and search, you can do it. If errors, to find any errors, if you want to find a word in that cell. We have count ifs as well. You need to count the number of mail transactions in that data sets. We have left and right to count the number on the left, on the right of that cell. We can rank also our table. We have minimum ifs, like what is the lowest number on that columns. Max ifs is the highest number of data in that column. Like what is the highest sales for all of this data, or what is the lowest profit from this data. We have some product to add all these columns. So this is data visualization in Excel. Now we have data visualization in Excel. So after we continue that story, in the interest of time, we create a dashboard. So how does a dashboard look? This is how you prepare a dashboard for all your charts. So you put all your charts and tables into one sheet, and then you can clean it up like this. You can remove the grid lines. You can make a title out of this. This is the dashboard. So I'll show you the dashboard, for example, here in the case study. So this is the unprocessable dashboard, for example. So we have Amazon. We have people here who have processed the AP. And then if I click, for example, oh, I see that George has a lot of invoices actually. Let me slice through what George is doing actually. What vendors are pending from his side. So this is the slicer. So in here, it would only show George vendor. So that's the power of the slicer. So we have a case study for Nepal earthquake as well, which is a good data visualization, as you can see. So this is the raw data. This is the raw data of that Nepal earthquake. So you can have all this data, but once you prepare and do analysis, this is the final product. So you can gain a lot of insights actually from that raw data. So it starts from creating Excel table. Okay, we're good to go. Visualization. So visualization is important because, for example, if you don't see a fuel dashboard in your car, it is very dangerous. You don't know when you run out of fuel. This is also important in cell phones. You see, the battery of the phone. I need to find a charger. And then this is also important in hospitals. If you see something this in your family member, then you'll be okay. Then after seeing the monitor like this, then you would hurry to call the nurse, and the doctors. If you see here, open 24 hours, it is a messaging actually, that hey, you can go there anytime and buy food for this restaurant. What if you're in China and you see this? Oh, you'll get lost in translation because, some stores use this as a matter of calculation. So these are all visualization. And the purpose of visualization is all of this. Analysis, communication, monitoring, and planning. Say, for example, you see that your fuel gauge is less, then you think for yourselves that you need to plan. You need to find the next fuel station, petrol station. So our role as data analysts is to make it delicious for users. So we have all these good references for data visualization. This is in World Economic Forum. This is how they visualize from the health to each topic, they have all this visualization. And this is the Power BI. Power BI is a tool, a good tool actually, to see all this nice visualization. Whatever you see in Excel, it's all in Power BI. It's a Microsoft product, and it's a very good product actually. You don't need to create charts and all in Excel. You can put or import your Excel table in here, and you can create as many beautiful charts as you want. So data visualization has transcended into business intelligence. So I suggest you try to check all these tools that we have for data visualization. So where do you go from here? We're almost at the end. So as we see yesterday, CMA is transcending into that analysis part. In fact, they have rebooted their exams for us to be ready with digitization. And CMA has a lot of trainings in regards to Excel analytics. And then we have data science and data analytics. For me, when I took the data analytics certification with Microsoft, it really helped a lot in terms of getting the whole picture. But with data science, that includes computerization. So, my last words. Thank you, Omnia. In a world of change, the learners inherit the earth, while the learned shall find themselves perfectly suited for a world that no longer exists. Yes, the digitization is running fast, and with Excel, actually, this is the starting point. In fact, you can do a lot of things in Excel. They have added so many add-ins there that all the tools that you need in terms of analysis are now embedded in Excel. So with this, thank you so much. I hope you learned a lot, and have a good one.